Hi guys, Kat here. So, as some of you know, I'm getting major surgery soon. In fact, I'm getting it tomorrow, which is Friday. So that's down at Kyneton Hospital. I've got a 11 a.m. admission. So the paperwork says that you're not allowed to eat or drink from midnight. But when we then actually spoke to the person, because they rang us up to give us a thing, and they said you need to stay hydrated for up to an hour before the surgery, but it can only be clear liquids after midnight. So no eating after midnight, and only clear liquids after midnight until an hour before admission. Mum is staying with me until I get wheeled into surgery. It will probably be an afternoon surgery, which means I'll probably be in for 2 nights. After that, Mum will bring me back here, and then she'll be looking after me for a while until I'm up and about enough that then I can go back to my place or my grandparents' place. We'll see. So yes, I'll be giving updates as we go along, and hope that you guys like it. So I'm getting a full hysterectomy, which is to deal with my weird hormone issues, and I decided that it could be a good idea to document the process going through it from this point on. As part of that, I'll be doing these vlogs because it might help someone, or it might just be a useful thing to look back on in the future. So, being what it is, there will be some icky details that I might kind of share and stuff, but if I do, that will be labelled on the video. So I'll put something like icky details or something, in case you guys aren't comfortable with female anatomy or blood things. Mainly female anatomy, let's be honest here. Or yeah, if it's icky, then I'll put it in the video title that it's icky, and I will try to separate it out from being other videos. So as part of this, after my surgery, I have to be looked after for a bit, basically. I can't be by myself because there will be a lot of things that it's going to be hard for me to do or I won't be able to do for a bit. And so I've come down to my mother's farm for that. The one major issue with this is that I'm allergic to a lot of the things down here. I am allergic to horses, dogs, cats, dust mite, grasses, a couple of other things, but mainly the problem here is the dust mite, grasses and horse. So to try and make it a bit easier, Mum vacuumed, she's giving me this room. This room I'm in right now, and it's been cleared out. Now it's almost been entirely cleared out. When I first came down, it was mostly cleared out, but not entirely. So that was on Sunday. We sat down and we cleaned it as much as we could. And in the process of doing that, because I'm guessing that we kicked up enough dust and it had probably horse and grass and dust mite in it, it upset my allergies. And I'm also asthmatic. I get allergy-induced asthma. So I had a really bad bout of allergy-induced asthma. So bad, in fact, that we first of all called Nurse on Call to see if they had any suggestions for calming it down when it wasn't coming down when I was using my Ventolin. And they went, no, you got to ring the ambulance. So we did. And I ended up going to hospital in the end. So you might be able to hear my voice that I'm a little bit gravelly, shall we say. And that's because I'm still having a bit of an allergy reaction, but it's nowhere near as bad as what it was then. So before we actually finished cleaning out this room, we went out and got an air purifier, which is what you see there. Is my new best friend, because now it is, while I'm still a bit gravelly in here, it is much better than out there. So yes, this is my new best friend. Sorry, Fox. Anyway, the nurse on call said while we were waiting for the ambulance, best to take 4 puffs of my Ventolin, so I did that. By the time the ambulance then got out, they had to listen to my lungs, went, your lungs sound clear, but we can see that you're working to breathe, it was laboured breathing. It was laboured breathing. So they went, so it's probably the residual kind of stuff around your asthma rather than the actual thing going on in your lungs. So you can wait it out here. We can basically Skype a doctor if you like. You can come in with us to emergency, or if you want to, it might be better if you go in yourself and just drive yourself. Well, not yourself, but with my mother, drive her in. So off we went to a hospital, into emergency. Emergency put us straight through into like proper triage, where there was a triage nurse who went through all these things, gave me more Ventolin. Yeah, I was watched from that point on. A little bit later, they eventually then moved me into actual bed where I was watched. First thing done there was I was tested for COVID because it's a breathing issue. Need to be tested for COVID. That came back negative. Then I also got an EKG done. The nurse, who's not triage nurse now, it's a new nurse, who's basically watching over a set of beds in the area. She goes, okay, so I'm your nurse in charge now. I'll be clocking off actually fairly soon, so I'll just be in charge of you for a little bit, but I'll be watching you. And so she starts looking for the paperwork, and with the paperwork, the triage nurse had put down a thing, which was basically a referral for me to get a chest x-ray in case, and so his words were, it could be asthma or it could just be pneumonia. So he wanted a chest x-ray for that. So she looks at this referral for the chest x-ray and goes, I'm new here. I don't know what to do with this. I'm going to clock off soon. So when the nurse who's taking over from me comes in, they can deal with it. It shouldn't be a problem because that will have to be dealt with after you've done, and this is what it's called, the hour of power. Now the hour of power is, now I think it was 12 puffs every 20 minutes for an hour of the Ventolin. And there is a side effect, which I'd already started having the side effect of having too much Ventolin. But it is that you can get tachycardic, which is that your heart rate goes really fast. And so you have to be monitored while this is going on. Basically in case your heart gives out. So they put the little finger thing on me, and it's read over on a machine on the side. And then reads my heart rate, and yes, I was tachycardic. So, you know, taking more of the Ventolin and getting more tachycardic. I don't know if you get more, but it was getting worse. Before, I think I had the second lot, so 20 minutes in, the nurse who's going to take over comes in. And so they have to, you know, exchange the information of what's going on. And she goes, oh yeah, she's a little bit tachycardic because she's got the Ventolin. Other side effect of this, I was basically vibrating because your heart rate's going really fast, so there's shaking happening. And the old nurse goes, and there's this referral, well no, she said there was this thing, talking about the referral for an x-ray, and I'm new here so I don't actually know what to do with it. And the new nurse goes, oh, I'm actually new here too. She goes, oh, and like, you know, start getting a little bit, oh, you know, being new. And then just kind of leave it. And so the old nurse leaves, the new nurse kind of stands there for a bit, checking over my charts of things, and then moves on to the next person to go check on them. And all this while, because I keep on going tachycardic, I don't know what the right phrase is here. Basically, my heart rate keeps getting above a certain threshold. And when it gets above that certain threshold, the machine that I'm hooked up to starts beeping. It gets upset. My nurse doesn't come in to look at me when it's beeping. He has his set thing where he's looking at one person, dealing with them for a certain amount of time, and then he moves on to the next one. I think he ended up being in my room a bit more than other people's, but yeah. he wasn't worried about the machine beeping, I'll tell you that. We're pretty sure it was a glitch, but my heart rate, it said, got up to 179. Most of all, it was around 130, which was still too high. And it got down at the end, like just before we left, which we're pretty sure was also a glitch. Because it got down, it got a reading of 40, which also set an alarm, because that's also not good. But it does seem to just be, seem to have been a glitch, because it very quickly went back to around, with the 40 it went down, back up to around 100. So it was quite often when it was up in the high, it was going up to like 140, 145, 150. But it wouldn't stay up there for very long. It would come back down to about 135, 130, that kind of range. Just before I left, I broke the machine. It, basically blue screened. This machine's version of a blue screen. So it was, we left about 2, 3 a.m. So they ended up deciding that it was just my asthma. I've been told I have to go back in if it gets like that again, because again, the way to treat it is with the Ventolin, which I do have the Ventolin, but because I go tachycardic, which is a normal reaction, you need to be monitored what's going on. But we didn't know that at the time. Well, they weren't sure about that at the time, so there was other stuff to be done. About 11 o'clock, someone walks down, and I guess they were, checking on the newer nurses. So she walks down and she goes, "Alright, so are you alright with everything?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, well, there was just this thing, I wasn't quite sure what to do with it, so I've just left it." This thing being the x-ray referral. So she goes, oh yeah, that's an x-ray referral. So, and she kind of walks out of the room for him to follow her. So they both kind of go out a little bit, and she starts explaining how to do it. And you have to ring x-ray and get that done. That way, you just get the x-ray tech to come down, and they'll just grab her and take her up and blah blah. And he goes, "Oh, okay." He gets it only about 2 steps out the door. It's like she's going to take him to go do it. And he goes, "Okay, yeah, all right, I understand how to do it. That's fine." And she goes, "You sure? Do you want me to help you do it now?" And he's like, "No, that's fine." She goes, "Well, you have to do it soon because X-ray's going to close soon." And he goes, "Yeah, it's all right. It's fine. I've got it now. That's all right. Thank you." So they part ways. And about half an hour later, he goes to actually go do the thing. I don't know exactly what he was meant to do or how he was meant to do it. But it was over an hour later that the x-ray tech comes down. And he is pissed off, basically. He was aware that there was one person who was going to get an x-ray. There was, in fact, 3 of us who were meant to be getting x-rays. And, whatever had happened, the guy hadn't done, the nurse hadn't done it right. So the x-ray tech was upset with him. Anyway, during the interlude of time between him being told about doing the x-rays and the x-ray tech coming down, we finally saw a doctor. That was 12-ish, midnight-ish. Anyway, so the doctor comes through and goes, "Oh yes, okay, I see, you've got this. So here's the things we're worried about. So it could just be asthma. That's your best case scenario. It could be pneumonia, or it could be a blood clot in the lungs. And that's what we're most worried about. That's the worst case scenario. So to check for that, we need to do some bloods. To check for the pneumonia, we'll do the x-ray." And he goes, "Have you been to the x-ray yet?" And I went, "No." He went, "That's strange. I'll chase that up and make sure you get in and get that done." Okay, thanks. And if it's asthma, then it will just calm down eventually on its own, and we'll just keep you, we'll just keep watching you because you're getting tachycardic. So, all right, cool. So not long after that, my nurse comes back in to do my bloods. We set up to, he's taking a while to set up to do that. And as he's doing that, I say to him, "Look, I just need you to be aware, I'm not great with needles. I hate needles. I have fainted on a couple of occasions. So I'm going to look over here. And Mum went that she was going to come around the other side to, block my vision so I couldn't see the needles. So that was fine, doing that. Now here's the other problem. I'm still tachycardic. I'm still vibrating. So he starts getting prepared and he wipes down my arm, and every time he wipes it, I flinch. Because again, not great with needles, also currently vibrating. Then a doctor walks past to check, is everything alright? She been seen by someone? Yeah, she's been seen. I'm just about to take her bloods, he goes. Do you want to do it instead? This is the nurse asking the doctor. The doctor goes, oh no, you'll be right, you can do it. According to my mum, she goes, I think that he wanted the doctor to do it, because he didn't seem to be very confident. Then he puts the thing in to do the bloods and spills my blood all over down the side of the bed. I don't know this is happening. I'm looking in the other direction. So anyway, so he fills up his blood things. He clamps off the tube. And, oh yeah, that's right. Goes and sends it off. After that, the X-ray tech comes and gets me for my X-ray. Someone's just gone in before me, so we're waiting outside the X-ray room. There's two people there, a guy and a woman. The woman looks at my paperwork and goes, he's done his bloods wrong. He's got the wrong thing. He hasn't got a full set. This isn't going to tell us anything. I'm going to go tell him because he needs to do it again. So at the end of the day, I come back after getting my X-ray, and he ends up having to take my bloods 2 more times. So that's 3 times in total that I've had my blood taken. Not fun. As he's taking my bloods, he starts having a conversation with me, try and, I guess, take my mind off of the fact that he's stabbing me with a needle, apparently badly. And so we find out now that he lives in the same suburb that I do. He lives in the same street that I do. Well, technically he doesn't anymore. He's only just moved. But he was living in the same street. Anyway, later on, we have the doctor come and he checks all the things that he's got to check. And the bloods haven't come back yet. So he goes, okay, so I'll hand you over to the new doctor. There will be a new doctor now. But it should just be, you're probably fine. And it'll just be a sign-off. You'll just go home if you start having it more. So if you need to have your Ventolin more than once every 3 hours, you need to come back in. Because you might become tachycardic again. You probably will. Other than that, it will just be go home. Try not to come into contact with too many of your allergens. And any of your asthma triggers. Alright, cool. New doctor comes in. And she goes, oh yeah, so we've looked at your bloods and the x-rays and they're both clear. So you're good to go home. She looked at my arm where I've still got the, like the blood getter-outer in. And she's like, oh, you still got that in. Well, we'll get them to take that out. And then, yeah, you'll be good to go. Got my thing out. Went off. Got home. Next morning, Mum's meant to go into work at 8 a.m. But she got a note from the doctor. So she went in at about 10, I think. I honestly don't know. I was asleep. But she went into work a little bit later than she normally would, but that's all fine. Since then, I haven't had too much of a problem. I've also been living in this room. Like, I've only been going out a little bit to go get food and go to the bathroom because I can breathe much easier in this room than anywhere out there. So, yes, my lovely air purifier. Hopefully I've got everything. Talk to you later, guys.